Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope. Thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio to discuss whatever topics you might like to discuss, and whatever issues of life that you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And so we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware to support the broadcast, and those of you who have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com. We thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. And I was a little delayed because we're having a little technology issue on the website, on YouTube, but we are live in Facebook, YouTube. We are live on RadioFreeNetwork.com, and if you go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio, the New Life link will appear in the Dropbox. Click on New Life, and every broadcast is available to you. And so I want to begin by saying to all of our listeners and viewers also that we are excited because we are in the process of launching our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week faith empowerment radio station. So let me say this to you. WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio Station will be going live very soon in the next 40 days or so. We are really feeling good about what we've gotten accomplished with the infrastructure, getting all of the equipment in place, getting it so that it's merged together, it's able to communicate from one location to another. So we have really worked on getting the infrastructure in place. We are also selecting and loading songs onto the automated system. So you'll be able to listen to music 24 hours a day. You will be able to hear segments such as 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. You will hear segments on health and wellness with our monthly contributor, Rebecca Boo, the licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist. You will be able to hear segments on health and wellness. You will be able to hear segments on mental health and wellness. There will be a lot of components that will be placed in the automated system, but 24 hours a day you'll be able to hear from hour to hour. You will be able to hear different points throughout the day, commercial-free music that you can just listen to throughout the day to be empowered and inspired. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. I'm overjoyed because it's one thing to have vision. It's another thing to have people with expertise who can assist in getting us to the place that God has appointed us to go. And we are excited about what God's doing. So stay with us. You're going to be amazed because I'm amazed by what God is doing. And for that, all I can say is to God be the glory. I'm going to share communication with one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you have heard me talk about getting 8 hours of sleep and how important it is to get 8 hours of sleep. And you want to know, how do you manage the time to get enough sleep when your sleep repeatedly is constantly, well, you said your sleep routine is repeatedly interrupted. You know, let me begin by saying this. You've got to get your body in the rhythm. I was prayerful about this, as I am about all of our communications. And one of the things you're going to have to do is get your body in the rhythm, and that will also not only allow you to sleep, but it will also allow you to feel better throughout the day so that you can perform at peak performance. So let me begin by saying this. I am one who constantly preaches the message that we should get at least 8 hours of sleep. Does that happen every day for any of us? Absolutely not. And I'm gonna give you a little example of that. So I've shared about our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week radio station and internet radio station. And because, I've said previously also that I am out of my comfort zone. But what God has done is allowed me to be comfortable being uncomfortable. But even in that, and I am someone who is fully committed to time management because I know how important every moment, every second, every minute, every hour of the day of the week, every week of the month that God gives to us has to be managed effectively and efficiently so that we can maximize, first of all, our success, we can experience the fullness of God, and then we can prepare to maximize the fullness of God in all of our lives. That all begins with that 8-hour sleep pattern. Now let me tell you what that looks like. The reason I brought up about the radio station is because, pure and simple, the last 4 days, the last 4 days, I have not been able to get exactly 8 hours of sleep. I've come up short. Only one of those days out of the last 4 have I been able to get 8 hours of sleep. Only one. You from time to time you'll come up a little short. You might get 7 hours. You might get 7.5. You might even find a day where you end up running on a little less than 7 hours. That's not optimal peak performance. So what that does is gets our body out of rhythm, and it will preclude us from functioning at peak performance every day. So we've got to really make sure that we are getting 8 hours of sleep. Now, pardon me. Having said that, the reason I want to bring that up is because there are going to be moments when you have so much going on that I spent my whole day yesterday with 3 other people really going over the infrastructure of the radio station. Actually, I spent 3 of them consistently, but 1 of them part of the day. And I'm saying all of that to say, we literally were at 2 different locations. We were doing a lot of work yesterday on the infrastructure. And so last night, because I studied 3 hours a night, 3 hours a day, I had to complete my studies. There was a couple of things from a business perspective that I needed to resolve. I got that resolved, so I was a little late going to bed to get my 8 hours. So I didn't get 8 hours last night. I got 8 hours the night before, and the 2 days before that, I didn't get 8 hours because there's a lot going on. But that's not going to be my norm. That was when I didn't know any better. When you know better, you do better. So my norm is get at least 8 hours of sleep. And then I had to be back up this morning to visit with our Achievers Academy with 50 students. So I'm saying all of that to say, was I at peak performance? Yes. It wasn't a difficult morning thus far, but I felt my body out of rhythm for a couple of days. Now I know tonight I'm going to go to bed and get 8 hours of sleep. And that will allow me today to get 8 hours of sleep, tomorrow to get 8 hours of sleep, and Thursday to get 8 hours of sleep, and then get back on my normal rhythm. All you've got to do is get your body in a rhythm. You'll be able to sustain yourself if you get out of, you miss 8 hours of sleep one day here or there, it won't take your body out of rhythm. It's when you stay out of rhythm, when you are constantly running on 5-6 hours of sleep. Contrary to popular belief, and society has this really messed up because they teach you in the corporate world, particularly in finance, they teach you to sleep when you're dead. In other words, sleep can't be your focus because money never sleeps. But you can make money while you're sleeping, and you can focus on doing what you need to do to get the appropriate amount of rest so that you can be certain that you're going to perform at peak performance. But you've got to get your body in the rhythm. So you've got to manage your schedule throughout the day and make sure that everything about your schedule runs effectively and efficiently. There are always going to be some variables because you may have a meeting, someone may show up late, you may have a meeting that's canceled, so that block of time that you scheduled for that meeting, you really want to replace it with something else. You don't want to just let that time go by. And so often that's what happens to people. When they find that they have some additional time on their schedule, they don't use it for a purpose. They just use it to do nothing. So you want to make sure that you are maximizing your time throughout the day. So you want to know, how do you manage that? And once again, I'm going to say this to everyone. You've got to look at this from a perspective of 8 hours of sleep, at least 10 hours of work. That's 18 hours. That leaves you 6 hours of doing all of the things you need to do. Self-care, whether it's shave, shower, make certain you look presentable, workout, exercise, read, whatever you want to do with those 6 hours to benefit your quality of life is fine. But you've got to prepare yourself every day for at least 10 hours of work, 8 hours of sleep. That's 18 hours. Now, it'd be great if you found that you can give 12 hours to business, and then you can essentially have 4 other hours to do the other things that you need to do. That's all part of managing your time. But here's the schedule. 2 hours of administration, 2 hours of administration, 2 hours of development, 2 hours of management, 2 hours of marketing, and 2 hours of operations. That's 10 hours of your business day. Now, anything beyond that, you may be able to get ahead of the curve, but you've got to figure that we need to work 10 hours every day. If we're going to maximize our success, we've got to work at least 10 hours every single day. So that means no wasting time. Because think about it. If you start your day and I'm not talking about the time you wake up every morning, because there's meditation, there's prayer, for me at least. That's why I always make sure that I am up at 6 a.m. That is going to allow me, in most cases, to have 2 hours to do everything I need to do before I have to leave the house. And then, from then on, it is a full day. So No matter what commute time might look like, you still have 10 hours. See, the commute time has to be placed in that 6 hours also. That 6 hours that you have left over, that your commute time has to be included in that. Now, you may use some of that to think about some things or pray about some things. Don't close your eyes if you're driving. But at the end of the day, everything that's within you should be poured out. And then you can rest peacefully for 8 hours, at least 8 hours. If you like to sleep, you might get 9 hours because you might, instead of having 6 hours to take care of you and get where you need to be, you might do 5 hours. But it's all about managing your time effectively and efficiently. You say it's being constantly just interrupted. If it's being interrupted by other people, you have control over that. If it's being interrupted by other people, you have control over that. And I'll touch on that because I know that that's the case. The people who are interrupting your schedule, you have control over that. Tell them, do not call you during business hours. And you're only going to do social activities with them every other weekend, because those are your friends. Family members, your parents are still living, go by and visit your parents every other weekend because they live in your area. You're not in our area, but they live in your area. Go by and visit them every other weekend. Check in on them during the week when you call. I mean, if you want to go by and visit your parents every weekend, that's good too. But all I'm saying is everything has to be managed. Everything has to be charted out. So I knew yesterday was going to be spent on infrastructure for the radio station. So I was very intentional about the way I scheduled my day. Very intentional. So, if you've got, in our case, Achievers Academy in the morning, and if you have broadcast at approximately noon, 12:30 to 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, everything else has to be scheduled between that, after that, and then before it's time for me to engage my 3 hours a day. But you've got to manage every day. No day can be wasted. No day can be, I'm just going to do nothing. There's no such thing, because you have to be focused on maximizing your success. But first, you've got to get your body in rhythm. And you can do that by managing your time and managing the people in your life. You've got to set some boundaries and manage them. Make certain that they understand the times that are effective for you to spend time with them or do what you all may have planned to do. And everything else has to be about maximizing your success. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. If you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you can call or text the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm also going to say to all of our listeners and viewers that as we go live with our 24/7 internet radio station, there may be some initial challenges with technology. Just bear with us. We will get them resolved. But I'm excited about you being with us and excited about what is to come. So just stay tuned and enjoy what God is doing to encourage us all and to inspire us all, to empower us all to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you and your husband want to start a business. And you want to know, will you be successful in the franchise sector? And so I was prayerful about this. You've chosen a good franchise to pursue. And you've got to know this. You are going to be successful. You're going into business for the right reason, because you're providing goods and services to the public. You're going into a franchise that is going to be helpful. It's going to really help you to grow professionally. You're going in with the right state of mind, so you're going to be successful. But I'm also going to encourage you to do this. Really focus on what the corporate office has to offer. Focus on that, because their goal is for you to be successful. There are franchises, not the one that you're going into, but there are franchises that focus on franchising. They sell franchise locations to franchisees, and then they make their money off of the franchisees and selling all the products and selling all the supplies, and all of those things are for their benefit. The franchise fees, the profits from all of the supplies, all of that is good for them. Often that is the extent of the corporate responsibility. You've got to realize that you can, and you won't need to do this, but you can hold franchises, and this is for all of our listeners and viewers, you can hold them accountable for your success. Get all of the information that you possibly can obtain from the corporate, from HQ, because they have all the policies and procedures. They have all of the success metrics, because they've been franchising for decades. And you've got to know that there's a reason that every franchise that's successful is successful. And it's because they've tapped into all of the resources that corporate will offer. They've tapped into all of the knowledge that corporate will offer. They follow the policies and procedures that corporate implements, because corporate understands how to make these particular franchises successful. Now, every franchise is different, the way they operate. Because as I said, many of them, they're not there for you after you invest. They're there if you pick up the phone and call them. They may answer your questions, but at the end of the day, you are responsible for your success. But here's a newsflash. Even if you have chosen a franchise that's going to be supportive, you have to realize you're still responsible for your own success. So just make certain that as you go into this, you have, first of all, the resources necessary to not just survive, but to thrive. Many people go into business undercapitalized. You have to realize that it's necessary for you to provide opportunities for your employees. So think about this. You want to make certain that as you grow this business, that your employees grow with you. You develop them and they grow with you. develop them so that you can promote from within. That's going to help to make your business successful. Particularly, watch this, because you are going to be successful, but particularly when you expand and open multiple locations, franchise locations. Over time, God will open the door for you to be able to do that. You just have to be willing to put in the work, be patient, and be diligent. Sometimes that's hard for people to line that up. Everybody wants to go real fast. Be patient and be diligent. Be diligent about making progress. So this is one of the things that I'm going to say to you, and while I say this to you, this is for all of our listeners and viewers. In everything we do in this life, it should be about making progress daily. Now listen, because some people will say, well, how do you make progress daily? Progress daily implies that you're looking for the smallest of details to be a better version of yourself than you, and become a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. It might be the smallest of things, but it has an impact on your success because you're constantly observing and taking action to make whatever changes are necessary to ensure that you maximize your success. It may not mean anything to anyone else what you do to make progress. However, it will mean something to you. And the reason it will mean something to you is because the big picture, it will have an impact on what you're doing and allow you to continue to move forward and grow. The key is continued growth. No matter how long it takes, continued growth. Just some things, even when you are trying to grow a business, sometimes it takes years before the business grows to another level in some form. Because everything's not going to look like you think it should look, and everything's not going to look like what everyone else thinks it should look like, and everything's not going to look like what you've emulated or patterned yourself after. Whatever God has for you is for you. You have to maximize that success. And it's the little things we do that are going to help us become a better version of ourselves and allow us to make some progress. So everything we do, everything single day should result in some type of progress. Even if you don't see the progress today, if you observe something that you truly believe, that your spirit wells up and says, if I do this, it will lead to progress. It will lead to progress. Then you have to focus on taking that action so that in the end, you make progress. Sitting here before you today was all about putting in the work that God has assigned and watching God move in a way that it would continue to progress forward so that we can continue to have an impact on the lives of others by encouraging one another, empowering one another, inspiring one another to be the best that we can possibly become. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. I look forward to being in your viewing environment tomorrow. Remember, we are Facebook Live, we are YouTube Live, we are RadioFreeNetwork.com Live. Go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio.